champ is here.
We will definitely not shut up and dribble.
The champ is here. I must be the greatest. The champ is here.
I'm going to continue to stand with the people.
The champ is here.
I will not lose.
I'm a bad man. I shook up the world.
Yes, welcome. You could be anywhere in the world, but you are here with we. My name is EJ, and I got my man.
I'm H.
Yes, he is the DB of the show. And we're going to talk about one of those great DBs in this episode. But hey, man, we are Black in Sports here, giving a voice to the culture that won't shut up and dribble. And today we're bringing you back inside the locker room with, I think, something that's near and dear to my partner's heart, but I think it's a near and dear to America's heart. All right, so MH, you ready to do this?
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So, man, we're going to talk about America's team. All right, and you all know who America's team is. And and the recent documentary that came out here in 2025, it was called The Gambler and His Cowboys. Mm-hmm. And I think it was an amazing series comprised of, I think, about like 8 individual episodes. So I like how they did that, right? You know, kind of breaking up in documentary form. And, you know, from why we do this show, it's an excellent cross or story between sports and business. Right. And I think that's what we basically cover on the show. Right. And the culture of what that sports and business and the culture of the Dallas Cowboys, man. So, man, Netflix, it took me some time to get to this. I was excited to hear about it, but, you know, just really wanted to make sure I had time to not rush through it and really check it out. It was just a great era. And I think, you know, NFL Films and Netflix, which the series was on, did a really great job with this, man. And if nothing else, man, it brought back the nostalgia of America's team in the 90s. So, MH, man, I'm gonna let you kind of lead us off, man, and then I'll just kind of follow off of you.
Yeah, no, I think Netflix did an excellent job, NFL Films, in producing this. You know, it's a story that part of the stories that a lot of us are familiar with because it was our era of growing up and respecting and, you know, people understanding why the Cowboys are the Cowboys now. But I think they did an excellent job of retelling that story and making it make sense to how it all came to be what it is now, even though they haven't had the success in recent memory. I like the way that the documentary started off, really talking about Jerry Jones and 2 things. Jerry Jones' love for the game of football. So we know Jerry Jones as obviously the businessman and the owner of the Cowboys. I don't think we have really understood Jerry Jones, just the pure, like, hey, I just love being a part of a team, how much football and being a part of a team means to him. I thought that was a beautiful thing to start off the documentary with.
Absolutely. I think that was great as well, because we forget sometimes that some of these people that are in modern day actually played the game. Right. So I think that was really good of them starting it off with showing like, and I think why we enjoy what we do, right? Like this show is our team now, right? Like, you know, I lean on you, you lean on me, and it's like us kind of game days putting on either a live show or this. So no, I think that's a centralized great way to start off the episode, because that's why a lot of people do it, you know, and we've heard in interviews, people say one of the biggest things when they ask them, like, yeah, they missed the game, but they missed the camaraderie that they had with the people in the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, you know, and we'll get into Jimmy Johnson, but they were teammates on that Arkansas team that won the national championship, and how symbiotic as team sports and championship and what that does for somebody's lifetime, the relationships built there. I just thought it was a beautiful part of the story that I don't think people talk about enough, that Jerry Jones, not only just a great businessman and marketer, but he is a football guy at heart, right? He enjoys being a part of the team. It was really cool to see him in the team pictures. I don't know if that was a trend back then or something like that, but owners in the team pictures is hilarious to me. So absolutely, yeah, I love that part of it.
And yeah, I mean, it started off with, he talked about the gamble, right? Like, and for those that don't know, he got his money in the oil biz, right? And he, you know, that, from my understanding, is a crapshoot, right? Like, you're constantly buying land, drilling, and hopefully, you know, hitting that, what was that, Beverly Hillbillies back in the day?
Yeah.
trying to strike that crude, and it's just a game changer. He hit one that was like, no pun intended, or maybe pun intended, was a jackpot.
Yeah, and he basically put all his chips in, put all his money in, and told his wife this is what they doing, and it worked out well. Also what was crazy about it is like his vision, the description of his dad, and his dad running the store, and his dad being a marketer at that, telling Jerry Jones, hey, put on the smiling face so the people come in here and do just the things that he did to his store. That was outside of just the grocery stuff that you can see where Jerry Jones got the idea of the Cowboys. And I also think I think Levi in one of our interviews mentioned this, that you often don't see a lot of people that says like, hey, I know what I want to do in college, an early age. Jerry Jones clearly pointed out to his father and those that are around him that he wanted to own an NFL team. Yeah.
Because he even, I think, mentioned, I don't know if it was this episode or later on, that he attempted or he was interested in buying a team early on, right? And it failed or something like that, right?
Yeah, just the people that that he was associated with, his dad advised, like, hey, man.
That's what it was. That's exactly okay.
Jimmy Hoffa,
Yeah. Hey, they say that Jimmy Hoffa locker room is something serious. That's not a locker room you want to be in. And that's the thing too, right? Like, I think that goes with other things that we talk about from a cultural standpoint, right? Is having a father, right? Like just that part, that we see a lot in sports from people coming from, and just our society in a whole, being raised, single mother kind of situation. So having a father, and then having the father in that entrepreneur or ownership phase, there's skills and things that you're brought up with just by your, it was a corner, whatever the store was, but there's still values about customer service, having a brand, dependability, all those core cornerstones that, lead to ownership. And like, why I think it's really important for generations, because I think there was some people capping on or making fun of that people are having part ownership in these in NFL, NBA franchises, but having that ownership, knowing that your parents own something, I think is a really strong dynamic and really helped him out down the line.
I agree. And, even the part of down the line in the episode, they really said that, you got to kind of, whatever you own, you can turn that thing in, and you got to really put the glitz and glamour on that thing. I mean, essentially it got to the part where it was like, hey, whatever is yours, like own that. You make that what you want it to be. And I thought that was just a good lesson in just life in general. It's like, you don't got to wish for somebody else's stuff. You got yours. Do what you're supposed to do with it. God gave you that. Take care of your gift. You know what I mean? Really, really fleshed out to the fullest. So that in its core, I think Jerry Jones has done a great job at that.
Yeah. And a dynamic way to start it off, man. And then, now after he got the team, he came in and like, yo, it's my team, my ball. I'm gonna play how I want to play, man. And he had some heavy work, and as an owner and as a leader, you have to make these decisions. And Tom Landry was a Super Bowl winning coach and loved by the masses. And then he told him to kick rocks, right?
Yeah, and that was the part to me of the whole documentary that was most surprising. Maybe because I didn't really see that, or I just can't remember those parts of the story. But I didn't really realize they did like a farewell hooray for Tom Landry. I knew of Tom Landry. My dad, shout out to Pops, he told me about Tom Landry, coach offense and defense, and the hat and all that. I knew Tom Landry. I just didn't realize they did the exit parade for him.
Absolutely. That was a lot. And then another thing, and I just had this recent conversation as well about, from a networking perspective, as you go through life, and we need to maybe instill this, to all of our listeners, no matter where you are in life, make sure you are making those connections, right? Whether you're in school, guys you're playing with or ladies that you're playing with on your teams, coaches, faculty, and even students, right? Like I was telling one person, I wish I was, more connected with some of my international students that I went to school with, right? Like, because we're such a global society right now, right? And then all of that to say is him and Jimmy played on the same team And he came out, he's like, yeah, if I ever get a team, who do you call as your best friend to come coach it?
Yeah, you the one that's gonna do it. And not only were they, teammates, they were roommates. I guess I didn't realize that either.
I didn't know that either, right? Like, because
Yeah.
you don't ever really hear how close the relationship was, right? So yeah, they're
Yeah.
roommates.
Yeah.
So that network, having somebody, that, because at the time it's not like he wasn't doing anything, Jimmy was
Right. He
out
was
there
winning
winning
national champions. Yeah.
Yeah, so at Miami, so it was just kind of cool and just great to see how, like you opened the store, the episode with, is he's been wanting to build that locker room and bring that winning and bring those like memories back at an adult level. And I think we all, coming through sports, kind of understand at least that psychology between that.
Yeah, and maybe the timeline's a lot, but I guess I didn't also realize that, and we'll get into some of the players obviously, but that Michael Irvin I knew he was the first of that, but he was part of the lineage that basically thought he was going to be playing for Tom Landry and end up playing for obviously his college coach and Jimmy Johnson. And that whole transition, how he was kind of like, hey, the Tattletale or whoever, he was kind of the man like, hey, we got to change some stuff here. So, I guess if you take a rookie in today's society, that's not necessarily a quarterback. A wide receiver that's saying, hey, we got to get this out the locker room. I don't like this, Jimmy. Like, that's a weird dynamic that you don't see in today's sports, where a rookie has the ear of the new head coach. That's not the quarterback. It is pretty interesting.
It's crazy. And like you said, like, and I don't know if this is the relationship with, Jimmy before, but they were saying like, hey, go get him. Like, they were saying, he may have talked to Jimmy or whatever, but they knew that they were going to get Michael out of the draft. Like, and I didn't know that as well. Like you said, as we get into the players let's do it. Right. But I didn't know that like Irving was the initial, like the number one before. So I think they did a great job of how they narrated everybody in. So
brought them in under the light. Yeah, spotlight. Yeah.
Well, one, the set, right? It was like a Western set. Like you think of like an old Western movie, like you had the OK Corral and the saloon and tumbleweeds.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
And they set that lighting up with his desk there, but then each of the players, they had them kind of set up in their own lighting in like a little Western motif or whatever you want to call it. So that was cool. So, of course, they had Irving, who we just talked about. They had Troy Aikman, and then they had Michael Irving. And we'll just stop right. Emmitt Smith. Excuse me. We'll stop right there. Because those are affectionately known, the triplets, if you follow that, during that time before you had the big three and all the other names that they, tried to come up with, you had the triplets. And then they go on, they had, now whom I'm forgetting some people. Oh, they had Jimmy Johnson, who was another main character. And then they had Barry Switzer kind of at the end. So I just love how they did that, bringing everybody in. And then, of course, between that time of Jimmy and then when Barry came in, they also had Prime. And you can't tell the Cowboys story without Deion Sanders as well, who came in later and really kind of put them back in the championship contention. So I think how they narrated it with those guys, but brought them in at the appropriate time, I really like that.
I agree. And it kind of told the story of the downs, the building of the team up until a championship contender, and how quick that turnaround was, and how some key things happened in that turnaround. Also in that time of winning, it's really cool to hear about old school rivalries when it comes to Cowboys and 49ers, and what that turning point was, and how the Cowboys kind of had to get over the hill with the 49ers. Just made me just kind of remember some things that, man, like I just grew up on, man, and some successes and some failures at the same time during that era that man, just took me back.
And yeah, like you said, the turn and all the things, Michael Irvin coming in, getting Jimmy Johnson in, and like what they had to do to get the team and turn it around. But it's really like the business acumen stuff that he was doing. They talk about the Herschel Walker trade, that shit. And it's funny. I didn't know. And like, if we're spoiling it, it's still like, we lived this history, so there's really nothing to spoil. It's still a great documentary because going in and how they tell it, we're just giving you snippets. But the Herschel Walker trade, who I never knew that was like one or the catalyst of the overall beef
Yeah.
that started it, because I didn't know that was so pivotal. I know it made waves like, oh, how are you going to give away your best player,
Right.
And then now you see coaches getting, giving or putting people, they credit maybe Bill Belichick is always getting rid of a top player right before, their days are done. And hey, maybe there's some parallel situations, right? Like they just got rid of Micah this year, who people talk about there's their pivotal player. So I just kind of wonder if, he's acting as if, or like him kind of going through this movie, maybe he's betting again. He is a gambler, seeing how all of these picks and things like that can change the future or the destiny for the Cowboys.
No, he's seen it. And to your point, who gets credit for making that, what now that we know was a successful move and kind of built the championship team, or the multi-championship team, by trading Herschel Walker. So to your point, I think that started, the beef. I also think what was pretty cool of how he engaged the fan base of the Cowboys, and really he didn't create the fan base of the Cowboys, but even showing the pep rally before they went to the NFC Championship in the stadium. I mean, that's something that he turned like a college atmosphere and a college loyalty to the school, the brand, how he turned that really on his head. And now, like, he kind of created what we know of the Cowboys now, not just from success, but he kind of curated the fan base in a lot of different ways. Just by doing something as creative, I guess, as a pep rally. Our 30,000 people wishing off a team to the NFC Championship. I thought that was a really interesting and special move.
Absolutely. So, I mean, it got into the winning part, and talked about, who they had to beat to get there. And like you said, the rivalry with the 49ers, and then bringing back the woes of the Buffalo Bills, who could have been a dynasty. And I know they went 4 times, which is crazy, right? But I just remember 3 times because I think you want to block out the no one goes to Super Bowl 4 times and loses all 4 times. But it was just good to relive some of that stuff and how they built it out. For me, there were some things that I was hoping that I was wondering how they would touch. And for me, the White House was definitely one of those things. I was wondering. So, because those things kind of come out as you get older, and maybe you heard it when you were little and didn't really pick up on it. And then you see it, right, how it's relived in pop culture. So if you ever followed the show Ballers, the wide receiver in that show, he had the whatever, the playhouse or whatever he called his.
Right.
But that's just kind of giving you an insight of, what they had going on. And then also that, everybody got big on Olivia Pope, or what was the other show? Ray Donovan. There's really a fixer. And there's some teams that have those, and
there's somebody that's making things work.
there's somebody that you call when there's some bumps in the road. I just put it like that. So it was interesting to see them share that, right? Because that is a part of when you're dealing with athletes at this level, and I think that's part of it that we don't get a lot of insight because there's so much judgment in the world of how people evolve and do certain things. So I think they did a decent job, but I just think at the end it was sad. You see some of the tragic things that happened, and then I didn't even remember the court situation. It was
I do.
Remember that?
I actually do remember that, but the most disappointing thing about that whole scenario was I just felt like, dang, Mike, you Michael Irvin, 3-time Super Bowl champ. How you getting caught? What was the hotel? And no disparaging on that hotel.
A Fairfield Inn or
I'm like, whoa, Mike. We could have spent $2 to be somewhere else.
So they didn't have the fun house at the White House anymore? Why? That's my thing was why are you here if you have the White House?
You got
Like,
an establishment. You got a residence.
You have a residence where the fixer came by. He's like, yeah, I will come by and drop off the things that you need. Like, why are you going to the Fairfield Inn on 28th and Lenox? Right? Like,
it was the most disappointing thing about the whole documentary. It's like, Mike, come on, son. Like, come on, you know better than that.
But and then it was just kind of it's so crazy, the jealousy part, right? Like the highs and the lows. Like, we love you when you're up here, and then we put you and we place you up here. And then if you do a misstep or something that we don't like, or you disappoint us, we're quick to like envy or hate on you, right? Because allegedly the young lady that was, the cop or a friend of his was his girl or whatever. And it's like,
yeah, I think they based Mufasa, the Lion King sequel, off of this part as well. So it is interesting how they do that.
So it's a part of it. For me, I think another thing was some of the misses. Like, I was wondering, and I'm going to make an omission. I'm going to tell it to the people because these are our people. And I was a Cowboy fan at this time. So I do remember that during the 90s. And I believe you can be a fan of any team long as the story checks out. And so those of you that know, I was born and raised in Florida. And at that time, of course, I was a Hurricane. Well, I'm still a Hurricane fan. But, I love the Florida teams. And when you talk about the triplet, you talk about Jimmy Johnson was from Florida. Just Emmitt's as a Florida. So that is where that came from. All right. So
I knew you was a Cowboys fan. So
let's move past that.
I knew you were.
Where was like Moose, right? Like, I was like, we can't hear from Moose. And then because I know Moose still, I think, announces a little bit. I'm not for sure if he still does, but he has been announcing. And then Harper, like, come on, shout out to 80. He was right there, man. They were doing that thing. So I was wondering why some of the people, because I think Nate Newton got a couple of words in there, which was the best offensive line that I think ever. All right. To help produce and put up the line. So
Ken Norton. I was really surprised by Ken Norton's inclusion, honestly.
That part too, because he left, right?
Yeah, Judas. Yeah.
That part. Yeah. So it was interesting to see some of those other people. I definitely like Haley's part in it. So Charles Haley, who came over, it was almost like a redemption story to hear that, because those are, and this is awesome. Like, when you talk about sports and business, again, is from the sports side, a tremendous athlete. But then the mental health part comes into it. And like, shit, if they can't deal with it now, I just could only imagine how they were dealing with it. This dude bipolar with an anger streak playing the most violent game in the world. Like, some of the shit he told about like throwing a helmet and
it was crazy.
Beat up coaches. So that was an interesting story, and how he kind of really appreciated Barry, right? He really kind of sung Barry's praises.
Yeah, because Barry spoke to the human side of him, and not just for what he could do for the team and on the field. Obviously, that was part of it, but he was concerned about Charles Haley, the human, and so I thought that was really cool. So he knocked on Charles Haley's door, sat and talked. Went into the house.
No, went into the den because Charles whooped his ass for coming.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really special. And then like Alvin Harper, Alvin Harper was one of my favorite players too. But I know he took a bag and went to Tampa Bay, so I wasn't really mad at his lack of inclusion into the to the documentary. But to your point, I think Moose served a vital role into that position, or into the team, and kind of really, I would say, romanticize the position of basically the fullback, where he kind of just sacrificed himself for the betterment of Emmitt Smith, honestly. So I think that wasn't missing. It is interesting that he wasn't on there just for a little part of it. He's on TV now, so yeah.
Another miss for me was that I see how I want to do this, is the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders, right? Like, that they didn't talk about, and I don't know, maybe he wasn't influenced in that or pushing that, but like that became like a brand of itself as well, to where they do calendars, and I think they were the first maybe to do that. There was a show about them where like making like it was just a big deal to be a part of that, which I want to roll into like maybe just another business move for how like, I think the NFL is doing better with women and getting young girls involved in the game and with fantasy and all the other components that they've done. But I believe that was sexist or whatever way that to do it, but it was getting people eyeballs on on the Cowboys, and I think that was something that was missed that I didn't see, or maybe I missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. They didn't, I guess, directly speak to the success of the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders and how it's kind of grown into its own entity. But the part of mentioning the different elements of now what we know as a complete organization on the business side that is all operated by his kids is like incredible. Like, Charlotte Jones is very involved into what happens in the communities and the foundations, and I'm sure the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders is his own entity, but at the time was very involved with all those type of things that make up going to a game. And so I thought that was a really cool part too of like, and they weren't old. These are people in their young 20s, right. Early 30s. Yes. I'm trying to figure that thing out. And now we know what a full-fledged, and that's part of the show, what an organization provides and all those different assets and parts in the business side. But for him to essentially say, hey, with his kids, hey, we going in together with it, go ahead and get your schooling, and this is what we're going to do. This is a family business. Special.
Yeah, and just that family business part, right? Like going in, they originally from Arkansas was like, no, we're all packing up. Like, no, this is just not me. I mean, this is my dream, but no, like, I know you're doing this, you're doing this, but like, pack up, we heading to Beverly, right? Like, load up everything, and everybody kind of got involved in it. And that's just a great thing. And then it's just the business acumen of all that he's done. Like people, don't understand what Jerry from the business, because that's how the relationship started with him and Jimmy. He's like, I'm a businessman, you be the coach. And that's what their initial relationship was. And throughout his career, even though he's become president or owner or GM or whatever, his title is, he was the one that brought Nike, right? He was the one that changed the whole. And I remember that Nike, when that thing came out and how they were suing him. I remember that. I was like, damn, this dude's boss to come in here and say we're going to do
Phil Knight on the sideline.
The sidelines. Right? And I think it's like, shout out to his dad. Like, now that's who you want to be in business with, Phil Knight, CEO of Pepsi and stuff like that. He's Jimmy Hoffa's a little dangerous. But no, bringing in Pepsi, and then those Pepsi ads were obnoxious. Like, I forgot about those. Like, when I was a kid, it was like, I love seeing the Cowboys on everything, right? But like, even the Dion deal, like, get me Dion, right? With the Pepsi deal. What else? Oh, the TV deal. Huge. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, no, we need to get this on, these networks. And
I had no idea he was behind the Fox situation.
No idea. No, and so he made the whole like, and I know there's conversation. I believe the Fox pregame show is one of the best. That's one of my favorite ones. But he started that, right?
Yeah,
like he opened up industry for other people.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Also explains how some of his former players, we talked about Daryl Johnson, Troy Aikman, are all very Michael Irvin are all in the media in some ways. I mean, that man is still doing his thing. Yeah, it's special. I would like a better word. It's just special how he did all that.
And some people don't know. He's really monumental of getting the Raiders here to Las Vegas.
Yeah, for sure.
Because of his other brand, people don't know. Like, yes, he has.
Yeah, he got
Dallas in his crib, but he's got some other.
He got some stuff.
When I said that boy got his own money,
yeah, he got his own money.
He got his little money. So all in all, man, I think it was definitely it was good episode, man. I mean, good series to go back and definitely watch again, man, because there's just highlights and maybe stuff that you missed, or that you laughed a little loud that you need to be quiet and hear out through the whole conversation. But no, I really enjoyed like going back, seeing what they created, and becoming the first dynasty that we talk about in football. So anytime you talk about dynasty, it was really them, creating that narrative and like for the blueprint, love it or hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the hate part for me was, and it was interesting, Michael Irvin being the start of the dynasty, and they kind of really pointed out like him and his what he had off the field, and in that it was kind of the beginning of the end of the dynasty too, of what happened and then him getting injured in Philadelphia, and how that was like the final, kind of piece of the, it all breaking down. Yeah, for me, I guess I didn't realize and put all those things together with the timeline and everything, but that was pretty interesting.
No, it and just the whole storyline, right? Like even what happened to Aikman, right? Like after Aikman's fallout and where he wanted to be and the injuries and the concussions. Like I remember those concussions he was having and whether he was going to play. But it's just so funny. Like when he had his rant on the sideline, Bush League. that's white boy cussing right there. I love that.
Yeah.
But it was like the whole saga, man, and it was really to be able to, because we didn't have that access. So I mean, right now we have a little bit more access into people. So what they say, you get to see how the hot dog's made a little bit more now. So even though you were there at that time, there was revelations that was able to be seen for this. I know one other part that really sticks out to me, just a weird part of the movie, and he shared it, right? So kudos to him. But when he says, and I'm talking about Jerry Jones, when he says he has a picture framed in his hallway about his like lowest moment or whatever, or just a remind him moment to like stay fighting or whatever, his wife looking at someone, I forget who he said it was, but all I remember, he's like, yeah, my wife looked at this man like I've seen her look at no other man. Like she's never looked at me before. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's real interesting to share.
I mean, it goes back to the competitor that is Jerry Jones too. So
hey, whatever you need to motivate you, I guess, right?
Yeah, he's still motivated at 70 something plus, and I hope he gets back to where he wants to be. I really do. As a supporter of the Cowboys and as a fan, it made me be like, dang, I don't agree with a lot of stuff Jerry Jones does, but I'm like, dang, that dude wants to win the Super Bowl. Hopefully he can get one before he's not on the team anymore. You know what I mean? So
yeah. And I think his kids want him to as well. I like the fact that they were like, let's get it for dad. That's a motivation that, there's no other motivation, right? And it's also like, so we can get our inheritance, so we can move forward with this shit like we want.
So we can do our thing too. It was also cool, like the story they kind of told the story, and it kind of went to like where it is currently, and essentially they stopped. Was this last year or the year before, or like when they were stopping filming of the documentary, and it was right around when the Cowboys lost to the Packers, and how much of a letdown that was, because he probably felt like, hey, this is it. This is going to be it. I'm going to get it back this year, and we know what happened. So
yeah, because they showed. I think that's right after that. It was when he talked about his wife's thing, but they showed him in the suite. It was looking sweet, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, that was hurt. It's like, jeez.
No, but like I said, man, it's really, this wasn't to like recap the whole show. Like I think it's a must watch. Just if you're a football fan, to understand why Dallas Cowboy fans think every year is their year. They follow their owner. Like when you hear lead from the top, this is a definitely lead from the top type of situation, because Jerry's doing everything he can to not only make sure that the team's successful, but that legacy lives on. And doing the moves in the business perspective, because like when the team was doing good, he was still broke, right? Like they were kind of going into that conversation of in the contract. So a lot of parallels to what, like, he's not changed. He feels he has a winning process and he's sticking to it.
He's sticking to it. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You can't, it's funny how people you can take somebody out the hood. You can't take the hood out of folks. And I'm not saying, what I mean? Like he know how to. he know how to make a dollar work. I'll put it that way. So you're gonna negotiate.
And then lastly, I like that they put Jimmy Johnson in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
that was because he was supposed to be there. I'm whatever beef and things like that, you know, I'm glad that they were able to come to a mutual at least respect for it. Well, no, they said they always respected each other, but you know, there was definitely beef there. And whatever. I don't think they ever finished all of the debates of who did what and who should have got credit. But I'm glad that they did get him in the Ring of Honor at the end, because he's definitely a part of the triplets and a part of that Dynasty era.
100%, 100%. And, you know, it makes you think about, man, if he was, you know, could stay around longer, what could have been. So
absolutely.
All good.
All good. All right, man. Anything else for the people, man, before we get out of here?
Shout out to the music that was involved with the documentary. I mean, it made everything that much more impactful. The music for me was like top tier. I don't know how all that is made and how the songs are selected and all that process, but man, the music made it that much better to me, man. For real. So whoever's doing that, the music director on this, shout out to you.
Shout out to the music director. No, all in all, it's a definite must watch, right? There's a lot of documentaries and a lot of things that people attempt to write. And I think having the people that created that, you know, they had, you know, may not had all the people, but they had the right people, you know, and able to tell that story with humor, you know, things a little tear jerkers, you know, so it invoked emotion. So it's definitely one of the better sports documentaries, especially for a pivotal, not even historical franchise, right? For what they're current and why they are where they are today. So definitely must watch if you haven't checked it out. Please go check out America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, on Netflix or however, if you do bootleg, I don't know if you can go get it from the bootleg from the African at the barbershop. But however you watch that, man, go check that out. I think they did a really great job, man. And no, the music for sure, the storyline and what they touched on and how they told the story was definitely great. So I think that's all we got, man.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Well, hey, thank you as always. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you watched the series, please comment and kind of tell us what was some of your favorite parts of the documentary, maybe what you think they missed or some things that you would have liked to have seen like during that evolution of that dynasty. And then just any kind of like, shares and comments. Also, always share the show, right? So if you're a follower or subscriber, share it with someone new, man, so they can kind of get in and join the team, because it's great being a part of a team. And then lastly, man, please stay safe, practice gratitude, and know we're rooting for you.
Screaming, all us blacks got is sports and entertainment until we even.
Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yeah. Yeah. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Yo. Look. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. Spent about 2 racks on handmade new rags. Assuming I'm rooting for everybody that's black. That's everybody from sports to college class to rap.